Hi. Well, greetings, YouTube. LMS Tactical. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Got a squeaky chair and my microphone I was messing with, so I hope it's picking it up. Let's see here. So I don't do too many live videos, so I might technically be a little off, but we'll wait and see if anybody joins. Basically, you could tell by the title of the video that this has to do with my law enforcement career. And sadly, I can't find the name of the guy that requested this. It was just yesterday. I got a ding on my phone and I looked at it, and one of my subscribers had said, hey, could you tell us what made you decide to become a cop, and a little bit about the academy and blah, blah, blah. And I thought it was a good idea. Sorry about my allergies. I'm really stuffed up here today. And I don't know if I'll get into the whole academy part of it, but I don't know if I ever did discuss what made me become a cop. And if you're interested in that type of thing, it is kind of an intriguing story. So who's joining here? USMC. Hey, what's up? And G-Shock. Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Happy Sunday, brother. Yeah. We'll see if some folks get in here, and if not, I think these things are recorded, and if somebody feels like they're interested in this subject, they can check it out. I don't know if you guys were here when I was just saying. I'll probably repeat it a few times if anybody joins us, but this is a specific request. Somebody had asked me what made me decide to become a cop, and it is kind of an interesting story. I mean, I think you'll agree if you stick it out. This noise is my daughter's pug. She's in California, and I'm babysitting this pug, and they are loud breathers. Hey, Sam, get out of here. A little gremlin growling and snorting. They need a CPAP machine. But I don't know. You guys got any questions before I begin this montage or this monologue of my police career? How are you guys doing this weekend? Squeaky chair. I thought we did a thing once where we were all divided and we could all speak, and it was like a video. I guess that was on Skype or something. Yeah, because it's a little bit of a pain in the ass when you got to type out everything. When you're done, could you maybe do a compare and contrast with what Gavin says about cops? Wow, Gavin. You get a good concept of his message. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Gavin, because I honestly was thinking, I wonder if I want to bring that up again today. And I think I made some kind of statement that I wasn't going to discuss him. But then last night, because I subscribed to his channel, he hasn't blocked me yet for some reason. So I got a alert that he had uploaded a video. And good. I'm glad you're doing good, USMC. Court tomorrow on a 211 PC case. That's robbery for you civilians. Good luck. I hope you get a conviction. He's guilty, or you would have put your cuffs on him. Hell yeah. So good arrest, by the way, I'm sure. This guy Gavin, I mean, he uploads a video, and it's I don't know if you guys follow him, but he was going to move. He was going to go down to Colombia and see if that was even better than Mexico. So he's like, he's walking around the streets of Colombia. And he's got his wife and his cute little kids. I don't know how many kids he has, like 4 or 5. I mean, they're just as cute as buttons. And to be honest, as much as he drives me nuts, it just breaks my heart to see him with these little blonde pink babies walking around in danger zones. As Gavin, literally, he walks around with his live feed, doing his best to speak his 4 words of Spanish. And the guy's nuts, man. I mean, I have gone from thinking he's just, off to I think he's a danger to himself. I honestly do. I think he's a danger to that family. Can you imagine being his wife's father and seeing your son-in-law drag the whole family down to freaking Mexico and then down into Colombia? And he's walking around these areas and he's like, it's not like the United States, man, where nobody's free. The USSA, he was saying, where blue ISIS is everywhere. You can't do. Look over here, you got grass growing, and I mean, it just grows. And oh my God, there's a tree, and I think that's a papaya. Man, you don't see that in the United States. I mean, a tree that actually grows. I mean, no permit required. Blue ISIS isn't trying to ask the tree for papers, but he was going through all this weird bullshit about how beautiful everything is. And you could tell by his voice and by his mannerisms. And as the sun went down, he was getting a little nervous. You could tell that I think he realizes that as far as Colombia goes, he might be in a little over his head. So, me wanting to amp it up a little bit, I was sending him messages saying, hey, why don't you go down to Bogota and do a man on the street interview? And I'd love to see that. Walk around in Bogota in the dark alleys, hey, tell us how free you guys are. Friggin' phone would be gone and he'd be wearing women's panties in the fetal position in no time. I mean, he's going to get his family hurt, I think there's going to come a moment in time when Gavin wishes he was in an American prison, with a cellmate by the name of Bubba. You think he's a bit of a nutcase? One thing, if it was just, my eyes are really bad. If it was just him, yeah, that's why I think he's a nutcase, because he's dragging his kids into it. And his wife. When I first heard the dude, I couldn't disagree with everything. Look, people that are anti-government, just to be anti-government they usually have a chip on their shoulder. But there are certainly grievances with the government. I've got them all the time. I'm not thrilled with the FBI. I'm not thrilled with the former head of the FBI. I can come up with 100 things about this government that I think are fucked up, because the government is like a river. It's always changing, and it's full of people, and people are corrupt and have the potential to be corrupt. And, I think I was about as anti-government as a guy could get during the Obama years, because I was watching my government collapse. But to just blanketly say that, and it's funny, because if you stick around and listen to this police story that I'm going to start telling in a second, you'll understand why I am so reluctant to turn my back. And it's almost impossible for me to spout out how you can't get ahead in this country. The government is, it's necessary. He was, yesterday on that video about Colombia, he immediately starts saying, I don't think Colombia is as free as Mexico. God, the way he says Mexico just makes me want to knock him out. There's nothing worse than a fucking pasty face fucking gringo going Mexico. But that's just my own thing. But he goes, yeah, it's not really as free, because I noticed they ask for a lot of papers. I think they're trying to be like the United States. When we were at the airport, they were asking for ID. And then we go to the hotel and they're asking for ID. Hey, dickhead, it's called fucking rules. Okay? It's called organization. I don't know what these people fantasize about. Absolute chaos where we just do what we want. We count on the kindness of others. Human beings are the most unpredictable, most fucked up species in the universe, probably. Because you and I can go hand out clothes to the homeless, and another guy that lives next door to us could be out murdering somebody just for their gold tooth. That's the unpredictability of humanity. So if anybody thinks that we could just live as a happy little, campers without rules and regulations, man, they haven't been anywhere. That's just ridiculous. But God, look at my fucking hair. I can't do a thing with it. So, yeah, Gavin's a nutcase. Did I answer your question? What we could compare or contrast what Gavin said about cops and what is actually true? Okay, cops. Look, Gavin is on the fucking far right of the police issue. It doesn't take a lot of sorry about this chair. Look at this, driving me nuts. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to figure out why Gavin's so anti-police. He ran around fucking with cops, showing everybody how the police were afraid of me, and I chased him down the street. And gee, what a surprise. He ends up with a fucking court case and some criminal charges, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. And now all cops are blue ISIS. Now remember, ISIS burns people alive, drowns people, videotapes them, getting slaughtered. That's how he equates all cops, because his skinny ass has bitten off more than he could chew, and he's looking at some jail time. So, instead of using the system to fight it, he runs to Mexico and then tries to pose as a patriot. I have said this a million times. I'm going to say it a million times more. Nobody hates a dirty cop more than a clean cop. Cops are human beings. And I'm going to repeat this. Sorry if you guys have heard this before. This is for the people that are maybe new to the channel and haven't heard this speech, but there is no machine. I used to tell people this when I was a cop. They'd ask questions and, why'd this happen? And what about this cop that was, stopped my uncle in Des Moines, Iowa, and called him the N-word? I can't explain it. I wasn't there. So all I can say is what I used to say. There is no factory spitting out law enforcement officers that are just perfect and moral and honest and follow the fucking rules to a T and don't violate policy and don't plant dope. That's not happening. So cops are, any police department in any town USA is a direct reflection of the society that they police, because that's where we come from. So when you look at your society and you got a lot of corruption and you got a lot of crime and you got child molestation and drug addiction and fucking everything else going on, don't be surprised when every now and again a cop shows up. They catch him and he's dirty, and it turns out he's not a cop. He's a criminal that made it through the system, and he's wearing a badge until he gets caught. But if you look at the numbers of police officers nationwide that are out doing police work and making physical contact with citizens 24 hours a day, 365 days a week, the percentages of the ones that fuck up is almost not even on the chart compared to priests that are fucking little kids. Sorry, if you got kids by the computer, get rid of them. It's LMS we're talking about. I was going to try and keep it clean. It ain't going to happen. Fucking Verizon people that are molesting their kids. You got freaking all the way up to corporate people that are stealing from the freaking, stealing from their fucking shareholders. We live in a world of shit. And so we're going to get cops that are fucked up. But man, compared to the only difference between cops fucking up and the guy down at Wendy's or 7-Eleven is if a 7-Eleven guy molests his kid or robs a bank, all 7-Eleven employees are not painted with that brush. You catch one cop fucking picking his nose and all cops are nose pickers. And that is just human nature. I get it. Cops have a weird effect on people. When I was a cop, I'd be driving home from fucking work, working all night long, and some other agency would get behind me and immediately I'd start thinking, what the fuck did I do? Why is he jacking me? What the fuck? And it's some guy changing lanes to go eat. To this day, I see a cop, I'm like, oh yeah, fucking with the man, huh? Yeah, Rodney King. It's just human nature. I don't know. So I don't know. I can't really compare Gavin's hatred for the police with the reality of police. Yeah. I would almost love to see like a 5-day holiday where there was no law enforcement and see if these people change their minds. If there was no law enforcement for 5 days, at the end of that 5 days, you would see a lot of liberals that converted over to being conservative. I'll tell you that right now. Because most liberal, you show me a liberal and I'll show you somebody that's never been a victim of a violent crime. When I was working in Hollywood, I saw more people that were anti-gun, anti-this, anti-that. And boy, I tell you what, after a carjacking, you get the shit slapped out of them, man. Where do I buy a gun? Where do I do this? Where do I learn how to use it? It's because there is the world that we wish existed, and then there's the world that we live in. And I tell this to my mom, the most liberal fucking person on the planet. Your world's nice, man. I wish it existed. It doesn't. Hey, here's a shocker. Communism is a beautiful idea. That's right. LMS said it. But the problem is, it's never been, what's the word I'm looking for? It's never been rolled out properly. If you look at communism just on the surface, you're like, oh, everything free? Well, fuck, who the fuck doesn't want everything free? I do. I want free shit. But then again, you and I know that once we turn our head on, that there's no such thing as anything free. And every fucking form of communism is different from the other form. And it always ends up with the guy on top with all the shit and the ones on the bottom that are fucking doing without and starving. And there's communism. So fuck communism. It doesn't work. And this world of us all, having no rules, no courts, Gavin went on this video that I watched a couple of them last night. The court systems, his own words, through and through are corrupt. There's not one fucking judge or fucking anything in the courts that's not corrupt. Cops, 100% corrupt. Military, corrupt. Fucking Congress, corrupt. That's probably true. Most of them. So why don't you just go to Vietnam then and climb up in the fucking hills and live at the mountain yards, you cocksucker? That's what I'd like to say to the guy. So I don't know. Hey, who's here? Mr. Bean 2. What's up, G? Don't you hate it when people call you G? I do. I was up in Coeur d'Alene, racist place. Coeur d'Alene is actually, I'm just teasing, by the way. Coeur d'Alene is like a place that I'd never been to, but all cops in LAPD wanted to live in Coeur d'Alene when they retired. I was up in Coeur d'Alene last month. Loads of retired LA, which is exactly what I just said. There looked like Simi Valley, right? But I'm in the San Fernando Valley. Yeah. What's your opinion on Rodney King? Oh, I got to finish my fucking book because that's pretty much laid out in there. It's called Blue Line Burning, and it's LAPD before, during, and after Rodney King, and kind of how it changed things. Okay, I'm going to tell my story about why I became a cop, but I'll answer the Rodney King thing. And it ain't going to make too many people happy if they happen to really think that was something other than what it was. Because you got to listen to what I'm saying now, because I rub everybody the wrong way with this, even cops. Rodney King, okay, how do I say this without fucking... Was the Rodney King event an ugly event? Yes. Could it have been handled better? Yes. Should it have been handled better? Yes. Did the cops break the law? Here it comes. No. They were sold out by the command staff and the training staff of the LAPD. Why do I say that? I'm going to tell you why I say it, because I was a cop at the time. I watched these guys testify against these cops, and it was a political thing, you know? I mean, that's just what it came down to. And they were saying, hey, we didn't teach this, we didn't teach that. And all of us were looking at each other going, yeah, you did. And I'm going to tell you exactly what we were taught. I got my metal PR-24 right behind me in my gun safe there. And, you know, when I was in the academy in 1984, you were told that if you give a verbal command and a guy gets, you know, loud at you, you know, hey, fuck you, you give him a firm grip, you know, whatever, you escalate ahead of him. If he is resisting, not doing what you're told, trying to run, trying to fight you, coming towards you, you go to the PR-24. And you swing that motherfucker at specific areas, not the head, until such time as he complies with his arrest. Now, you got what, 3 or 4 guys beating the shit out of this dude? Was he complying? No, he wasn't. Just watch the fucking video. It's on YouTube. You know, getting up on your fucking knees and shit after a pursuit. Now, let's not forget, there was a lot that happened before that video camera. It was a guy's name, George. Guy changed history, man. What the fuck was his name? The guy that videotaped it. Whatever. So there's this high-speed fucking pursuit going on, risking your life, my life, your kids' lives. Anybody that was driving, nobody give a fuck about that. Now, I know the arrest is not supposed to be punitive, but this all lends itself to the recipe of what's going to happen and what happens. I mean, no one likes to hear me say this, but even in shootings that are bad, if you just wouldn't fucking run for the police and fucking start reaching in your pockets and shit, you'd still be alive. That doesn't mean the shooting was good, but cops, I've never seen a fucking cop drive down the street and just start chasing motherfuckers for no reason. I mean, you know, I mean, and if somebody runs from you and you are in a position of any kind of authority, aren't you going to fucking, I mean, it's just natural humanity to fucking figure this guy is, you know, you only know what you know. Okay, so he's not stopping for the traffic violation. But as you're chasing him, the harder they drive, the more red lights they run, the more times they come around the corner on 2 wheels, the more you start thinking, well, fuck, maybe it's more than just a guy that didn't stop for a red light. Maybe it's a fucking body in the trunk. Maybe the guy's wanted in Texas for fucking homicide. This is just normal, because you start thinking, what would a normal, rational human being do? If he ran the light, he'd probably pull over and get the ticket and fight it in court or whatever. So anyways, I digress. Rodney King put himself in that position. If he would have just fucking laid down and put his hands behind his back, there were 2 or 3 other people in that car, not one of them got hit. What the fuck? So I know that at the time there was a lot of racial shit going on, just like there is now, and a lot of people chose to and choose to and want to believe that it was a bunch of white cops just looking for a black guy to beat the shit out of. Couldn't be further from the truth. One of my good friends, Officer Love, was the only black guy at the scene, and he never did step into the camera view, but he was just off camera. Took a lot of shit from his own family, because his family was very successful from the San Francisco Bay Area, lawyers, and I think a doctor in the family. And the family just almost disowned him because he testified to the truth. No, there was no signs of racism. I didn't hear the N-word. I didn't hear this. He was just telling the truth. But there was a segment of the black community and black police officers too, and his own family, that expected him to join in the let's crucify these cracker cops. And Dave had far too much fucking class than that. So, yeah. When that many people have to hit a dude that many times, they're not using the baton right. Okay. I would have handled that differently. I think he should have, he should have been approached, made contact with, get him down, handcuff him, do whatever it takes. But he doesn't keep beating a motherfucker like that. Have I seen worse? Oh yeah. When I came to work that night, I was working Hollywood division, and as you go up the stairs, there's like a little break room, and there's a TV there, and the roll call room's over here, locker room's here. Well, as I'm heading to the locker room, I see all these people watching this TV intently, so I stuck my head in to see what the fuck was going on, and it's the news, and they're showing King on the ground had just happened, and these guys are beating him, and I'm thinking to myself, I see that every fucking night. I mean, this is the truth, I mean, and there's black people in LA. They're like, look, you guys finally get to see this is how we live. This is what they do. Yeah, when you fought with us, we beat the shit out of you. I'm so sorry, but that's what we were taught to do. Okay, we weren't taught to like have a fair fight. Okay, it's like the military. If you're in a fair fight, you're fucked up. You got to get the fuck out of there. Back off, retreat. You fight to win and end it. So I'm just telling you what the department was taught. They can change all their rules and sell guys down the river and everything else all they want. But I'm just telling you how it went. And there's cops that would disagree with me. They do all the time. So I'm looking at it, and I didn't realize that this was the very video that was going to change law enforcement across the entire country, maybe the world. I saw that they were freeze framing it and circling stripes. Well, it looks like there's a sergeant here. And I'm thinking, man, that's unusual. So I get dressed, come back, do my thing. Never knowing that life was never going to be the same again on the police department. And maybe for a good reason. Maybe we shouldn't have been hitting people like that. Okay, this sounds really wishy-washy, but I am just being honest with you guys. If that's the wrong way to do it, then don't teach us to fucking do it. Teach us a better way. Now everybody's got these fucking gun tasers and, shaped like guns. Whatever. Change your policies, but don't fuck people over. For just so that you're politically on the right side of history in terms of race relations. That's bullshit. Yeah. So that's Rodney King. Who's here? And then I'm going to start my story because I don't want to make this too long. Is it true that Sherman Block told Daryl Gates if he didn't handle the Rodney? I don't know, but this is the first I've heard of that, but wow, I can't imagine Gates getting bullied. No matter what you think of Chief Gates, and I love the guy. I have a picture of me with him somewhere. It's right in front of me. He was not a dude to be bullied. So I don't know, but that might be. Okay, LOL, Rodney King, LOL. Yeah, right? I was up. Okay, yeah. Okay, let me tell the story so that we're not here all on. First, I want to give a shout out to, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this guy's name. Gary Saradarian. Gary, what's going on? He's kind of a newer subscriber, and I believe he was a cop that retired out of Houston. Yeah, I'm glad you're on board, man. You're a good dude. I enjoy talking with you. Okay, so real quick, wet my whistle, and I'll make this as fast as possible. But it's an interesting story, and this is exactly the way it went down. All right. And again, I'm not trying to get or garner any sympathy from anybody. Trust me on this. I do not feel sorry at all about my life as a child. So I don't want you to think that this is like poor Mikey, nobody loved him. I wouldn't be who I am today without it. So I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just, God, my face is so fucking red when I make these videos. Blood pressure. All right. A little bit of recap for people that haven't seen me before, and because I've touched on these things before in other videos. I am from a very impoverished family, and I was raised by a mother, 3 older sisters, no father. Now, I know you hear me talking about my father and everything. We really, I saw him maybe once a year, maybe, and when I was a kid, and he lived way far away, hours away. And then him and I are friends now, but we really didn't get to know each other kind of until I got out of the Army. So my mother was, this is the 60s we're talking about. And I was living in Inglewood. Inglewood is the hood, Inglewood, the wood. Inglewood, which is a suburb of South Los Angeles. By the Forum, the great Forum where the Lakers play and all that shit. So we're on welfare, food stamps, the whole bit. I only had a car a couple of times. My mom smashed them up and then got in pursuits and outran. I mean, seriously. So I was the baby of the family, and this is all going to lead to the police thing. And my mother was, because the Vietnam War was going on, and there was a huge segment of I look at the 60s, like, I fucked up this country, but my mom was major anti-government. She hated fucking cops, and cops were pigs, and that's what they were. She was always rooting for the bad guy. One of the very first books I ever read was by one of her heroes, and she had a lot of heroes, by the name of Abbie Hoffman. You younger folks probably don't know who that was, but he was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. He was, the name of the book was Still This Book. And, this taught you how to fuck over the system in every city. More on that later. Che Guevara pictures all over the house. I mean, my mother hated the military, and I used to get fucking physically beat down if she caught me playing toy soldiers or watching a war movie that happened to come on TV. She was protesting the Vietnam War. She was kind of a biker type chick. She ultimately got into prostitution, and this was taking place like right next to me. We ended up living in a motel where you got my bed here, me and my sister and my mom here, and one fucking dude after another. So, it was a very flavorful life. Now my mother she's pretty big. I mean, my mom was fucking like 5'8" or 9, huge. And the older she got, she was a major drug addict. Took every kind of fucking drug you can imagine. And as if that wasn't exciting enough, she was a full-blown alcoholic. So, she'd stay up for like 4 fucking days, 24-hour stretches, and just wreak fucking havoc in our house, destroying shit, beating the fuck out of my older sisters. A very violent lady. And I don't mean to disparage her. She just died in October. Sorry, Mom. But, I love my mom, but I haven't even shed a tear. And I cried like a baby when my dog died. So what did I tell you? It's not that I don't love her. I'll have to deal with her when I see her. And maybe we can work shit out, if I see her. And I don't, like I said, I don't hate her. It's just, I feel guilty. I haven't cried since my own mom died. It's very strange. I even tried. I got my eye a little bit moist. That was all the best I could do. So yeah, she was very hard to live with. She got her group of people were bikers, Hell's Angels and shit. So when we got out of the motel and moved into a duplex in Inglewood on 104th, I can give you the address, 3720. Just fucking look it up on Zillow. This is 3726 and a half West 104th Street was my address. Still remember that. So I would wake up in this fucking place in the middle of the night. My stomach always does this when I talk about my childhood. And there, I'd go to the bathroom and there's some fucking dude rebuilding a Harley Davidson in my front room. No bullshit. You'd be walking by and you'd go, "Hey, little fucker, hand me that monkey wrench." I was terrified of these people. And because the violence in my house was almost nightly. Bikers fighting because they're drunk. I found out later these guys were molesting my sisters. The one that my oldest one was in a foster home at that time. So I had one that kind of came and went, and then Sandy, the other one that she where's her fucking tattoo right here? Sandra Jean White. She committed suicide at 32, jumped out of a building in New York. All of that can be traced back to her childhood. If you think I had it bad, I had just to be a girl in this situation, because my mother was just hateful to these girls. You fucking cunt, you loser, you ruined my life, you're ugly. And my mom's fucking their boyfriend, you name it. So all of this fucking drug activity, all of this violence, fight. And the whole time I'm waiting to die. And I mean, I'm talking from a very little kid. I honestly never expected to grow up. I just accepted that I was not going to live to be an adult. And it was almost comforting because I just knew it. My only question was, I wonder, is she going to kill me in my sleep? As I got older, that's what my mom would always say, I'm going to wait till you're asleep. I'm going to come in there and cut your fucking throat. So I had little traps built so my mom would make noise, and I practiced getting out of the window and shit. So to this day, my wife will tell you when she gets home, I'll call her in here. She'll tell you, I sleep with my right foot out of the blanket because I had practiced kicking my blanket out and getting up in one move, getting out the window, down the tree, getting the fuck out. That was from a different house in Hawthorne. Okay, so some of you might remember the story when I was 4 years old. I was wearing my little pajamas with the feet in them, and I had my Winky, which was the blanket that I was wrapped in as a little kid, but I got really addicted to this thing. I mean, until I was like 13, I had to go out and burn it because I just couldn't sleep without it. So out of the blue, this will just give you a flavor for what life at my house. I'm 4 years old. I'm in bed sleeping, and it's like fucking 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. My mom just kicks the fucking bedroom door open and goes, "Get up, little fucker." I mean, this was, you can just imagine this little, and I was always a different kid. I always kind of knew something was weird. And I'm like, "Mom, I'm tired." She goes, "Get up, get the fuck up." And she drags me to the door. She opens the door. She goes, "Get the fuck out of my house." Now I'm holding my Winky. It's fucking pitch black outside. And I started crying. I was like, "Where am I supposed to go?" I remember this like it was yesterday. And she goes, "Go find your father." The fuck is he at? I don't know who the fucking guy was at that point. Slams, she says, "Don't come back." And she slams the fucking door. All right, well, even as a little kid, I did as I was told. So I'm thinking, well, I can't go back because she told me not to go back. So I get heading down the street, 104th Street, bad area. I'm walking down the fucking sidewalk, man. I'm heading west toward Prairie, which is a big street. And I think I did tell this part of the story before. This will be interesting to those that haven't heard it. At some point, there's a monster up in the tree, and it's moving around, and it scared the fuck out of me, man. And it took every ounce of fucking future paratrooper courage that I could muster up to get out, to get underneath that fucking tree. I knew I couldn't go back, but I couldn't go in the street because I wasn't supposed to go in the street, but I had to get past this motherfucker. So I waited to die, and I ran underneath that thing, and I couldn't believe I made it. Remember that part of the story. So I finally get up to the corner of Prairie and 104th. And in those days, at midnight, the lights would flash all yellow in all directions. And so they're flashing. It was either all yellow, no, strike that, all red. So they're flashing all red. It's like a four-way stop, big intersection. And here comes this fucking Inglewood police car driving by. All I knew was that kids waved at cops. I was 4 years old, so I waved at the fucking cops. And I can see him to this day. It was like Adam 12. It was like a young guy driving and an old dude in the passenger, older guy. And their mouth, I mean, can you imagine what they saw? This little fucking kid standing out there at 2 or 3 in the morning. So they do a U-turn and they come over and they get out. We're talking. "Hey, where you going?" "Oh, I'm going to find my dad." "Where's he live?" "I don't know." "Where do you live?" "I don't know." "I live down that way." "Well, what are you doing out here?" My mom told me to go find my dad." "What?" "All right, well, let's put you in the car. And all I know is they had the amber lights were flashing on the car. Now I was terrified of that for some reason. When the dude put his hand on my shoulder and starts to walk me toward the police car, the door was open. In the car, I hear, and I started crying. I was terrified of that police car. Okay, kid. So the old guy is holding my hand, and we're walking down the sidewalk toward my house while the young guy idles the police car next to us. And we're walking, and the old guy's like, "So are we almost there?" "No, we got to go down there." And he's like, "Well, here, let's go in the car." I start screaming, okay. Poor guy. So we're walking along, and we get to that tree, and I said, "Hey, we got to be careful. There's a big monster up in that tree." And I'll never forget it. Now, the cop takes his flashlight, puts it up in the tree, and it's a big kite stuck in the tree. And that's just a little image, a scene that always sticks in my head. So when we get home to my house, finally, I made this poor dude walk all the way to my house. This was the very first time in my life that Mike Weiss, ever said the words in my head, "What the fuck?" And I had that expression. They knock on the door. My mom opens the door and she goes, "Oh, there he is. I've been looking all over for him." And in my brain, it was the first time I heard, "What the fuck?" So she's freaking out. "Oh my God, I've been looking all for him." And I'm like, whoa. I just remember the cops arguing with her. I don't remember the details. I'm pretty sure, looking back on it, they must have thought, "Hey, you're fucked up." But in those days, it was a little harder to get your kids taken away from you. And somehow I ended back up in the house. All right, now here comes why I became a cop. So a couple years later, I'm bigger now. I'm probably about 5, I guess. About a year later, I'm about 5.5, almost 6. And there's a bunch of fucking draft dodgers and bikers and shit, hanging out in the house. Drugs, loud music, the whole bit. And the fucking front door comes flying off the hinges. You just had to see it, man. Woo! And in come these Inglewood cops. Now, I forgot to tell you, I was terrified of these bikers. They just were scary. They stunk. No offense, Hells Angels. They were mean and scary, and they fucking hit each other, and they talked about crimes they were doing and shit. We were gonna go rip this motherfucker off, and it was just terrifying. So a lot of chaos, and the door flies open, and here comes these cops, and I'm just like in the corner looking at this, and I can see it like it was yesterday. Well, they're fucking grabbing motherfuckers and up against the wall. We had the handprints of them on the wall for months of these bikers. And they search them down, tell them to sit down, and they're going through all this bullshit. And I remember the cop is like, sit down and shut the fuck. And the biker's like, hey, did I say sit down and shut the fuck up? And the biker sat down. Now, when I saw that changed my whole life. These giant fucking dudes that were so terrifying. And my little head couldn't process it, but they were afraid of these dudes in these uniforms. And I couldn't fucking believe what I was seeing. Now, of course, the bikers had hair down their ass. Cops had shorter hair. My house was always a disaster. To this day, clutter just fucks me up a little bit because of that. Yet these guys, their uniforms were fucking nice and neat. Their t-shirts were white. Fucking leather was shiny. Shoes were shiny. I'd never seen anything like it, man. I was like, and when they told these guys to sit down and shut the fuck up, they did it. And then they manhandled them. Nobody got beat up, but they handcuffed them and took a couple of them away. One they were looking for. The other guy had warrants. Everyone else got the fuck out, for the night. And I just remember looking at these cops, and I was thinking to myself, my little brain was just working overtime, and I was thinking, I don't know who these fucking people are, and I don't know where they come from. But I'm going to find out, and that's what I'm going to do. And I made the decision to answer the question. I made the decision at that moment that no matter what it fucking took, I was going to do that for a living. And it was funny because years later, as a cop, I cannot tell you, and I know some of my partners are watching this because I've been talking to, or they'll watch it because I've been talking to a few guys. My video, my channel has actually reconnected me with some old partners and shit. It's kind of cool. And they'll pipe on in the comments, and they've seen it. Years later, I'd be the dude kicking open the door, man, and I would see the little snot-nosed, red-headed fucking kid sitting there wide-eyed with the boogers and the Kool-Aid stain and dirty clothes, staring at me, the big fucking cop coming in and taking care of chaos and making bad shit into good shit. And I can read their fucking minds, man. I saw myself over and over. My partners would be like, oh, fuck. Mike's going to be busy for the next hour because I had a little thing that I would do it all the time. Once everything was code 4, grab those little fucking mics aside, pull them aside, and I'd sit down and I'd fucking have a come to Jesus meeting with them. I'd tell them exactly what I just told you, in words that they could understand. And the message was always love your mother and your family because that's why you're here. But you don't have to love what they do. You don't have to love the way they live. And in fact, you have the absolute option, if not obligation, to break the chain. Love them in your heart, but learn from them in your head, man. I knew that whatever my mom loved, stay away from it. Whatever my mom hated was the right way. I knew that from the time I was an embryo. I don't know how. Probably my grandfather had a lot to do with that. That'd be another story, be a book. But, and I would tell these guys, man, break the cycle right here and now, right here. How you do it? Don't get in fucking trouble. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. And I'd go through this whole thing, man. Did I affect anybody? Who knows? Who knows? But I never forgot from whence I came, and I tried to pass that on. And, when we talk about, I think I said in the beginning about this country and how it drives me nuts, how people just act like this country's fucked up. You know a little bit about my life. And as I got older, things got a little bit worse. I used to have to hide in the store because people I knew would see me with my multicolored food stamps, and it was embarrassing and shameful. And I had one pair of pants for the whole fucking school season. I was dirty and that couldn't focus in school. I was hungry all the time. Like I said, I'm not looking for sympathy. This is just reality. We just didn't have any money. My mom just fucked everything up. So, it got a little harder, man. And I just focused on that. But sadly, you can imagine that as my sisters left one by one, I became the only target. My mom fucking got very violent, man. And I had no choice, man. I had to go in the military. And of course she wouldn't sign. At 17, I asked, I begged her. She said, fuck you, I'll never sign it. Help anybody join the military. She hated them. So what I did was I had to wait till I was 18. And of course I didn't finish my, after my 11th year of high school, man. I had a choice: try to stick it out another year. So, here I am, fucking no education, going in the military to save my life. And you know what, man? For a fucking dude with no education, who literally, I didn't learn one thing in school because I was doodling and I was half asleep, probably ADD. I was hungry. I was fucking tired. I've been up all night watching my sisters bleed and shit and get beat up and fucking everything else. It was a chaotic thing. I went to school to get a few hours of respite from the combat zone. So everything I know, I had to teach myself. Thank God I love to read, and I read everything, man. I was reading everything. By the time I was a guy, I was reading tampon boxes when I was on the toilet, man. I mean, I became an expert in tampons. But, don't tell me you can't succeed in this fucking country. Because I live a life now. I'm not wealthy, but I live a life. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. This is the dude from 104th, the snot-nosed kid. I got 12 acres up in the mountains with fucking spring and creek. And, I got a fucking nice vehicle. I got a couple of nice vehicles. I got a fucking cool little man cave right here. I'm doing pretty fucking good. So I don't want to hear about this shit. Now, some people might say, well, that's white privilege. Bingo. Yeah, I don't know, man. I digress. But I thought I was going to take this somewhere else. Where was it? But yeah, so that's how I became a fucking cop. And, I don't have any regrets. Could I do it today? I don't know. You know what? It's like if you didn't know how it was and you were just coming onto into law enforcement today, it'd be a lot easier than the poor guys that got caught halfway in the middle, when things change. It's hard to do anything when the rules change in the middle of the game. But anyways, let's see. Any questions? All right, here we go. Let me see if hopefully you guys, I feel like a duck. My allergies are kicking in here. Okay. Communism. Eventually you run out of other people's money. Exactly. It's true. Sherman Block. Okay, no, we talked about that. It's the new Rams Stadium. I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that. It's amazing that the Rams are going back, because when I was a little kid, I mean, I was never following sports, but the Rams, I remember I got a Rams shirt from the thrift store when I was a kid. Let's see. Jesus, terrible childhood. My God, I know you are looking for any sympathy. Oh, who's that? Oh, USMC. Thank you, brother. No, thank you. Mike, will this be a video? Yeah, it'll be. I think these are able to, I don't know how this works, but I think you can access them. I mean, just keep the link, because I know you can. Very inspirational. Thank you, JTC. Thank you, brother. Or sister. I don't know who you are, but thank you. I tell a story, Mike. Oh, thank you, Mr. BeanTube. The saddest part of that whole fucking story, in my opinion, is not me. There's some good things that came out of it. The saddest part is the death of my sister. My sister, Sandy, I had three sisters. Now, two sisters were from a different father, so they're like, what, half sisters? My mom and dad never married. I'm a bastard. But Sandy, she was a really good soul, and she just couldn't take it anymore. She fucking, she was wanted by LAPD. She was wanted by LAPD Hollywood Division. Imagine this, dude. I'm a cop in Hollywood Division, and there's posters all over the fucking division of a girl that's wanted. That's my sister. I mean, and the guy that was investigating her for fraud, it was a credit card fraud or some shit, ripping off credit cards from persons. I don't know. This guy was a classmate, went through the academy with me. So that almost got ugly. But yeah, it was weird, man. I was talking to her on the phone. But I couldn't have any contact with her because she was wanted. And the department was like, hey, if we find out you're talking to your sister. So that's kind of fucked up. She was hiding in New York. And then on my birthday, she wanted to talk to me. I finally said, fuck it, I'm going to take the risk. She's my sister, and I really loved her a lot. And we had a great talk. She talked about she had seen the riots, and she was so proud that her brother was a normal person. We got her. She actually said, we finally got one in there, meaning we got someone out of that shitty family to do something normal. And it was really bizarre because we had a great talk, and as we're saying goodbye, I don't know, man, intuition. I just said, hey, Sandy. She goes, what? I said, you're not going to do something weird like kill yourself, are you? I don't know what the fuck, where that came from. Her exact words, I could hear it right now. She said, Michael, give me more credit than that. And 2 days later, she jumped out a window and killed herself. So I just kind of felt it coming in some weird, strange way. Now, the other thing is I think yesterday's video, when I was giving you the Saturday update, I introduced my son, and he's the guy that's getting ready to go in the Air Force June 19th, and how proud I am. And he's a little ginger. And what you didn't know, and I don't want to say it right in front of the guy, and I know he doesn't watch these things, and it's not that big of a deal. But my second sister, they all hated my mom, and the older sisters just kind of became her. It's really strange. I mean, so she's had a fucked up life. I mean, she is, her childhood destroyed her. My other sister, not the one that died, the other one, older one. So she tried to make her life normal many ways, in and out of jail a million times, drugs, full-blown alcoholic, bipolar. Just, I'm so sorry if you're watching this, Shelly, but you're a fucking nutcase. And she knows I know that. I love you dearly, but, she's like going to a shrink like every other day. Well, she had 2 kids, 2 sons. And of course, I'm out here in Virginia. They're out there in Torrance, and the state of California takes them away because of neglect and abuse, everything. She's out drunker than shit, and the kids are walking around getting hit by cars. Now, I had just remarried after a 20-year marriage, so I was married to my wife here. And I mean, like fucking days later, my nephews are wards of the state, and they're living in foster homes in Compton, California. Little redheaded white kids. So I thought, well, I'm their uncle. They'll give them to me. Man, was I fucking wrong. It took us a year. Virginia made me go through child parenting classes, my wife and I. We already raised our kids. They're all grown up. I got 3. She's got 2. California, I said, every day you keep these fucking kids in these foster homes is going to be another month. I'm going to have to undo it, the damage. And I was right. There was all kinds of abuse I won't go into. But I had to call the police out there from Virginia, and in the middle of the night, get them taken from a foster home in Compton to East LA. When they showed up on my first year anniversary with my wife. Can you imagine that stress? A new marriage. My wife is Vietnamese. We're figuring out each other's culture. And then these 2 guys show up, and this is how the young one that you saw yesterday, this is how he talks to me. We're eating dinner that night. He tells his brother, hey, yo, fool, pass the salt. And I'm like, the fuck? Did that just come out of your fucking mouth? These guys were full blown imitating the shit they saw in the foster homes. No rules, talking like little gangbangers. They had seen drive-by shootings. They didn't know how to fucking shit shower or nothing. I had to literally show them how to shower. All right, you lift up your nuts and you scrub. I mean, I was doing a whole fucking thing in my underwear, pretending like I'm taking a shower because they didn't know anything. So it was a lot of stress. And we finally adopted these guys. And the one you saw yesterday, he holds my last name. I mean, he took my last name, and they're old enough to make their own choice. They could go back. One of them, because the older one and I, we bumped heads because suddenly he's in a house where there's rules, and he had never had any rules. And I was like, hey, man, you can stay here, but when you're 18, you're going to have to get a job. Or, hey, fuck that. He was just being hardcore. And, hey, well, why don't you go in the military? Fuck that. I'd rather join ISIS. I mean, there's just shit I was dealing with the older one. And pretty much he left, never said goodbye. He immediately changed his name back to his other name. And I don't talk to him for a year. I get a call on Thanksgiving, and it's him. Hey, Uncle Mike, what? Who the fuck? Who's this? Yeah, I'm in the Army. I'm getting ready to go to Afghanistan. What? You went in the Army? Yeah, it turned out you were right, man. A couple of days on the old bus stop bench out in LA, man. I got a little hungry, and I thought, well, maybe the dude was right. Bottom line is, him and I are tight as a drum now, man. He's a fucking respectable guy. Came out here, stayed on leave when he got back from Afghanistan. Couldn't be prouder of him. The younger one that you saw yesterday, Noah, I'm just so excited, man. He's going to go in the Air Force. He passed the test for geospatial intelligence. I mean, that's a top secret classification. Fucking satellite, spy, all this shit. I couldn't spell geospatial if you gave me $1,000. And this guy's going to do it, man. So we've come a long way, man. I'm real excited about it. I have a lot of issues with my sister, who may or may not see this video. I mean, there's a lot of anger in her. On the one hand, she's happy I have the kids. On the other hand, she feels like I ripped her off and I took her kids. So when she goes off the wagon and drinks and shit, she'll call up and unload. You motherfucker, you stole my fucking kids. And I just hang up and fucking go back. I love Lucy. Anyways, I think I've rambled enough. Have I covered 46 topics? Boring the shit out of you guys. How many people are even here? Can I tell? I don't know. Let's see here. What did you enjoy more, the Hollywood or the South? Oh, bro, that's a good question from Miguel. Look, I'm not going to drag this out for another hour, but one day I'll do a video explain to you how I got from the South End to Hollywood. Chief Gates, looking at his picture, that's a story, and that story explains kind of why he came to my retirement. He loved me. Nothing with me is a simple story. It's always something major and huge. And but to answer your question, I enjoyed the South End more, no doubt about it, because that was like, and this is going to sound wrong to people that don't get it. Not you guys, but liberals that may stumble in here. Because I'm not a violent dude, but I really despise scary, bad people. And it has to do with my childhood. I didn't grow up with a father, so I was getting beat up all the time and fucking blah, 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 blah. So I knew that the gang members were fewer than the good people in the South End, but they controlled it and had these poor people living in fucking like an occupation force. It wasn't us that was occupying, it was the fucking gangs. So I just felt we did a lot of good out there. Now Hollywood was a different trip, man. I'd never seen anything like it. All of a sudden in Hollywood, you got to be real versatile because you're north of the South End, obviously. So the gangbangers come in on Friday and Saturday, and you got to be able to adjust when you stop them. But you're also just a couple blocks up the hills, and now you got Molly Ringwald. She made a complaint against me. Holly, you're in a superstar's house, some fucking famous celebrity, So you got to really adjust. I mean, like it or not, I'm just being honest. You cannot talk to some fucking celebrity the same way that you're going to talk to a couple of fucking Crips that you pulled over. And it can't be fake. It's got to be real. In other words, you don't go up and go, hey, brother, how what it be like? No, but I mean, you relax a little bit or you're just not going to get any respect, And same with these guys, So you have to be very flexible. Hollywood was sort of like, you could get into anything. You could be in a fucking shootout on one night and the next night be fucking writing a report because there's a neighbor dispute going on over something like a fucking the roots of the tree or whatever. So it was different. I enjoyed it all. Okay. Okay. Did you tell us what it was like during your time? Oh, at the academy. Academically, I did struggle academically. I'm about as academic as a fucking like a apple core. I mean, I'm just whatever that meant. I did really well physically in the academy. I did really well with the firearms. I'd just gotten out of the Army, but I'm not a good test taker. And in the LAPD, I don't know what's going on now, but in those days they called them mile test. You take a test every week. If you fail, you get remediation. You take it again. If you fail that one, you're out. You're gone. See, take the test, fail, remediate, take again. I think you get 3 times. On the 3rd time, you're out. And I can't tell you, it's probably about 2 or 3 that I passed on the 3rd time, on the last try. It was very stressful. I remember sitting in my little apartment in Highland Park, man, studying all fucking night, man, because it was just hard for me to focus. Nowadays they have like fucking computers. All the reports are on computers. I can't imagine what it'd be like to have spell check. If you look at the picture of me that I used as the thumbnail of this video, it's me holding one of my twin boys. I had identical twins when they were born. I was all holding one in uniform. But you see, I got the pencil with the eraser. I mean, we had to write our reports, and a number 2 pencil back in those days. And, I had to carry a little dictionary and shit because I read very well. I was reading at higher levels when I was a kid, but I couldn't spell. I didn't, so it was just very hard on me. And like I said, there's probably more to my thing than just me not being a good test taker. I mean, my mom was a heavy drinker and smoker and shit. When she was pregnant with me, I always joke around that it's fetal alcohol syndrome. Maybe it is. I don't know, man. Because sometimes I'll be in this moment where I'm close to an epiphany. I literally am a nanosecond away from understanding the entire meaning of life and the universe. And then, hey, we got any peanut butter? So I think that's probably like that last shot of alcohol my mom took before I was born. What's my email? My email is airborne, AIRBORNE 80 airborne80@gmail. I'm not a good, I'm terrible at checking my email. So I will get to it, but don't expect a quick response because people hate me for that. I lived in Highland Park. I lived at in the hole. It was that's another fucking story, man. Can you imagine a white dude us going through the police academy? And I think it was Avenue 50. It goes down into this hole where these apartments are. I didn't know when I rented that fucking place that was like the armpit, and that the chances of me getting out of there alive were 0 to none. And yet there I was, man, fucking living there. I think guys were so shocked that they would see me coming out, jumping in my 65 Malibu. I remember one time I came out, I started the car, I had to start in the morning, let it warm up. This is a 65 Chevy Malibu. And I come out and there's like 5 cholos sitting on my car, literally sitting on top of my car. And I'm this fucking skinny white dude. And I walk out and I go, I want to go back and grab something. When I come out, better be off my fucking car. And I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do to handle it. But when I came out, they were off my fucking car. Not because I was a big dude. I think they were just shocked. So yeah, Highland Park. Orale, Holmes. I'm from the hole down in Highland Park, fool. Congrats for having the strength to break free. Yeah, and you know what, man? Thank you. I made a promise to myself. I always wanted kids. I used to read stories about little houses with picket fence and dogs and kids. Now you guys know why I love Charlie so much. And I imagined my life like that. So I made a promise that my kids would never come home and find their dad drinking, because all the images of my mom are laying there stark naked, pissing herself, or drinking and chugging it up and falling and stabbing people. You know, so I never fucking came home. I actually was so paranoid about that. I'd be on a day off laying on the couch, just exhausted because, I'd get some weekday off. And when the kids I'd hear them coming up, home from school, fucking with the door, I'd jump up and grab something, act like I'd been working all day, carrying shit around. They'd walk out and go, oh, you know what? I'm exhausted, man. I'm going to sit down for a while. Oh, yeah, Dad. Because I didn't want them to think their dad was a lazy fuck, because I know how that felt. And to this day, I don't drink a drop of alcohol. On New Year's Eve last year, I had a sip of champagne. The year before that, I had a couple glasses on New Year's Eve with my wife. Not against it. I watched it destroy my family. I did my drinking when I was in the Army, and I realized, and this is what I tell the kids, talk about breaking the chain. And I tell Noah, my adopted sons, this too, and my biological kids. We come from an addictive family, man. My mother's mother was an abusive alcoholic, fucking everything that moved while her husband was out fighting World War II on the West Virginia. It's a battleship. Sunk in Pearl Harbor, re-raised. So that is genetic. I believe it is. All 3 of my sisters they're just nuts. The 2 that are living, they're just, I'm sorry if you guys watch this, but you guys are fucking nuts. Come on. Poverty stricken. I'm fucking raising everybody, taking the kids and fucking doling money out. It's like, I'm like, the joke in my family was that there's a wrong baby. I'm the wrong baby. That there was a redheaded fucking Hell's Angel baby and me from some rich family, and somehow they fucking mixed us up, and there's some mansion somewhere with some biker redheaded dude going, hey, fuck you guys. And they're going, how do we get this kid? Because when I was a little kid, true story, my mom I got the crap beat out of me. I dialed 0 on the phone. I still remember it, and they always talk about it, or they did. Yeah, operator, yeah, could you send the police to my house? My mom's, she's taking narcotics. My mom, where did you come from? I was like that little weird kid that just like fucked the whole family up. It was awesome. But yeah, break a chain, man. That's what it's all about, man. And I tell my kids, you got to break the chain, man. Watch yourself. Don't get into shit that's addicting, because we got to fucking kill this so we have successes. Yeah. So you can imagine how when I went to work for the Inspector General in DC, and they send me to fucking London after their bombings over there, and I'm at this fucking huge meeting with the head of Scotland Yard and all these fucking important people at Scotland Yard. And I'd be sitting there and I'd be like, God damn, man, this is a long way from 104th. I felt almost inhibited. I'm kind of my own worst enemy. Sometimes I think, man, if these people knew where I came from, they'd kick me out of here. I get sent to Israel, and I'm going all over the world learning, and I'm working for a great agency and all this trust, and I'm speaking in front of a lot of agents. And sometimes it's just hard to fucking believe it, and I owe it to a lot. I owe it to my grandfather for never giving up on me, and just, saying things like, hey, always obey the law of the land, follow the rules, respect the flag. These are things my grandpa would say when he'd visit. I owe everything to the military. Military saved my life. I went into it's not for everybody, but for a guy like me, I walked in there as a little kid, and in basic training, I like to say I was born at Fort Jackson, and I was raised at Fort Bragg when I became a paratrooper. That's why these wings mean so much to me. These were the very first things that I ever accomplished. I was told my whole life, loser, loser, loser. That's why I never called my kids names. I never fucking hit my kids and shit, because imagine being called a loser your whole fucking life. Loser, 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 loser. You're a fucking loser, loser, loser. Ah! So you start thinking you're a loser. Well, those wings were the first time that I saw so many people that couldn't complete jump school. I was like, fuck, man. Maybe I'm not a loser. So anyways, yeah, enough of that. I'm getting sick of talking about my childhood, man. I'm gonna fucking go hang myself. I'm just kidding. Rats around the string. Okay, yeah. What's okay, who says what it'll be like today? Yeah, right. Hey, Gerald. Hey, what's up, Gerald? I didn't see you pop in here. Oh, you're the one that was asking me about Highland Park. Of course, you know where that's at. Both my parents were lushes. I heard they were drinking. Yeah, it scars the fuck out of you, man. I mean, when I went to basic training in the Army, let me tell you real quick, and I'll leave you guys with this. Guys that were joining the Army was not popular back then. The Vietnam War had just ended 5 years before. So, everybody's going, oh man, the food sucks. These guys are yelling at us and blah, 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 blah. And I was like Gomer Pyle. I was just, the more they yelled at me, the more happy I was. These guys it was the most love I ever had in my life. Sergeants yelling at me, expecting things, getting out of bed on the same time, making your bed. I can remember going to the mess hall, and when people were complaining about, I was shocked. I'd never seen so much food in my whole life. I mean, my whole childhood, I was hungry, always. And to this day, I got food issues, man, where like somebody eats something that I thought was mine, and my wife has to call me down, hey, we can go buy more. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Because I want to kill people if they fucking eat something that I set aside for me. So I'm in the mess hall, man, and first thing I saw was this machine where you could lift up this thing and get all the milk you could drink. I mean, I was in heaven, man. Not only that, but they had chocolate milk, and you could just keep eating. I was fucking in heaven. Floors had to be clean. You had a function. You had a thing to do. You did it. You had a mission every day. The fucking military saved my life, man. And I will be forever grateful to the United States Army. Yeah. Guys, I don't know how long this has been going on. Oh my God, an hour and 2 minutes. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to drag this out. I hope it's available for review for that person that asked. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with me and for the comments and the questions. Yeah, this is awesome, man. But I got to go to the bathroom. All right, you guys, listen, it's been really fun. And I'll come back and read any other comments that you guys post, because I'll keep checking back. And if you can still leave comments, I will check them out. In the meantime, please enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I didn't mean to take up so much of your time. But thanks for hearing me out, you guys. And stay safe. LMS Tactical, I'm out.